if the bot caught it. But I saw it. I don't know. I was distracted. Sorry. I just went live just so you guys are aware on X, just so you know. But yeah, let's see if we can find it from yesterday. That'd be interesting.
Okay, is that your way of talking?
No. Just be yourself.
You want to give everybody
where's the mug, huh?
Oh boy. The mug.
I mean, you got to post it.
I don't have one right now though. I don't have a new one. Should I repost the old picture of the mug?
Yeah, I guess better than zero.
Here am I, like, when the PA was all serious about informing us that we're going live on X. Here am I thinking, like, okay, let's take a little reset, give a little overview of where things are. And then all I hear is, Joe the mug.
You said be yourself, so.
You don't want me to be myself. Not the one I'm comfortable with. You want me to be pro.
Tesla going for 400. What are those 400s at now? What did you just trade, Space Monkey, on that move? Like what contracts?
Like 3.9s.
3.9s. Okay. Yeah. So those 400s earlier were at $1, which I felt like was expensive. It normally would be, I guess, but on a day like today, it is what it is. Those are at 240 now. So the swing, the 400 call swings at 25. If anyone's holding it, go ahead, Space Monkey.
Yeah, I'm just holding a few here. Tesla 3.9s. Just sold some at 630. Sold at 630 from 260. It's my like fourth roll up.
Jeez.
So let's go. QQQ new highs. Beautiful all-time high break. There it is. SPX then QQQ. We're just waiting for IW.
Yep. Guys, QQQ +1 is 590 today. So if we get a trend move, that would be +1 ETR. For those joining, go ahead.
Sorry, just before ATR on Tesla's right here, right? 394.
Yeah, 394 is +2, and the next one I believe goes to 420. Well, they're not 420, but one of the +4s 420. I gotta check.
Thanks. Go ahead, Mate.
Yep. Sorry, I was just managing this QQQ position. A little bit heavy on this one.
So yeah, 394, 14, and then 406, 80 is next.
All right. For those just joining us on X, we're just kind of impromptu going live. If you're there, if anyone's listening, we're just trading Tesla and QQQ this morning. Tesla's obviously squeezing super hot. We've been pounding the table on Tesla for weeks. Finally got the breakout yesterday. Caught that for a couple trades, and then into today, I managed to catch some trades. We also had a swing on for the 400 calls for October 17th. We took off for over 100%. So if you guys have questions, anyone out there on how to trade this or how we approach it, feel free to let us know. We're just going to hang out for a little bit. We might do a review once things chill out a little bit. But right now, in some QQQ and Tesla calls.
I'd say if you break this 395, 394 area, that's it's 400. No question about it. Looking at my some resistance levels I have here. Have them all off. That's why I'm not walking here. Okay, so next will be 400 plus. NVIDIA might be interesting. It's still in a range, but MU would be also interesting. I'm not looking into trading anything else than Tesla for now. MU break of PM highs. Watch that, guys. 156, you could see, sorry, 156 and 70 or so. PM highs, but the break above yesterday's highs, PM high breaks. You can see new all-time highs, which is sitting about a point above. Take advantage of 0 degrees. Give us something to trade. I see a little regained strength in semis here. Keep an eye on Oracle. You can still put in a failed breakdown of 300. Move to 294. Break above 300 could see an additional at least 2-3 points. And then recapture PM lows around 303. Could see a bigger move back to 310 plus. So, you know, it's just some take profit here. Let's see if they can hold it.
The 65.90 positioning continues to be a pivot for S&P, but the QQQ relative strength is playing out. So let's see if that can continue. Do I even look at the 380s that we traded earlier?
Yeah, I don't know. I'm not looking at it at all.
I don't ever like to look.
360s, 370s, 370s,
Yeah. Let's take a peek at the gamma here.
I'm just happy we caught this move, man. I think
Yeah.
it's a pretty good move, and the best thing about this move is that we're ahead of it a bit. Like, we're ready for it. I knew you were setting it up earlier this week. And then you convinced me to look at it a little more closely, and just things aligned beautifully.
Yeah.
Off it went. So
I was quite early. I put the swing on July 24th, but stuck to my guns. But it definitely was shaping up. That 355 is a very good case study, just for review. The number of tests that it got, and your timing was spot on with that. So yesterday was the day. I like the way it set up yesterday too. It's like it almost was training people to respect 355 and kind of lull you to sleep a little bit. And then once we got above it, it's just that chase just becomes, you know, full on above it. So here we are.
There's multiple variables that, you know, can really help add, you know, strength to that trade, and us sharing that flow too, that big put right, that was a nice little conviction add too. And I know a lot of members caught that as well. So someone writing, you know, at the money puts for March, $30 million position, he's probably up 50% or more already. Pretty incredible move to add a little fuel to it.
Not bad.
Nothing in a day's work.
And I mean, one nuance to that is the options typically do drive Tesla price when it does this, right? Like in the past, we've had gamma squeezes. That 290 break, I think it was. Yeah, the 290 300 break back in November was a very strong like gamma squeeze. So one of the most traded names in terms of you know, options. So it's common to see this kind of move once it gets going. So it's interesting that you saw that position yesterday. It could have had an influence.
Literally perfect time at 354 was their position timing at the Tesla price at the line.
There's that 394. Was that plus 2 ATR, John?
Yep, it was. And TC actually managed to scalped some Tesla puts off of that.
Oh, wow.
And those paid really nicely. Great job, TC.
Very fast.
Brave. Very brave.
I meant to hit the hard feed or sorry about that.
Nice exits on 390s. Watch Tesla bounce at 384. If that fails, I'll be ready to go another around at 377.
Very nice pause and hold on QQQ here above that high. So that's a good sign, constructive price action. S&P still stuck at that 90 pivot, so Q is looking a bit better.
We have Apple approaching +1 today, 234.72. Great move, just something that might slow down QQQ.
9-day moving average 254, right below that.
Nice.
Guys, Tesla's in a trend, so watch that 9 on 10 bounce around 450. If that fails, you have a secondary entry likely around value area low, which currently is developing intraday, so it could still move. For now, it's around 378, 65. Just something to watch. This 388 was the hold. That's where I took a position long. Around 380, just below at 386 change, anticipating the high they break. So pick out becomes support. Let's hit the holds here. Otherwise, get an entry further down. How are those Qs going?
Good, good. Yeah. Up about 40%, 45% here.
I'm sorry, are those 0 DTs or?
Yeah. Yep, 586 call, 0 DT.
Go by 384, that spot that Space Monkey's talking about, +1 again. For everyone listening, is 381.47. Really would like to see Tesla get a reaction there, or can get a much more challenging today for scalps.
Yeah, guys, so on Tesla, what we're looking for is intraday bullish divergence. It's set up yesterday, so if you missed it, the move yesterday is a great example of a secondary entry forming. So on my chart, yesterday's dip, you can see this move through 355 was very aggressive. And if you take a look at the RSIs, it's just a textbook example of what we look for. This dip here, intraday to 360, reset the RSI significantly. And if you look left, the last dip was around 357. So essentially, Tesla intraday was more oversold at 360 than it was at 357, which is a divergence. So a hidden divergence. If we get something like that today, or even just a reset, given how squeezy this is, you can look for entries off backtest to try and catch cheaper premiums. So something to look out for. As J Money mentioned earlier, we need one red 15-minute candle to get a true reading, and we've yet to get that. So it's been straight green from the open. And actually, as I said that, we just printed the first 15-minute red candle. So nice reset here. We'll see how it responds.
Guys, Uber back above 95 was yesterday's highs. Uber setting up on the daily. I actually posted something late last night, at least my time, regarding Uber. A little bit of the same kind of idea. Sorry, a little bit of similar post to the Tesla one 2 days ago. I think Uber is just setting up larger time frame. Uber is setting up from 600 and then 120. Just every dip is getting bought. The dips are getting bought a little more aggressively, a little faster. It's just accumulation here. Nice higher low on the daily. It's just a matter of time before this one tests 98 all the time and 100, which will be tricky, but I think it's a break. Better of a share play, harder problem.
we go. QQQ, come on.
Oh, nice bounce. That's not where you sit.
All right, guys, taking 1/2 off here. QQQ, 88 cents getting filled, about 55%. We'll let the last half run. Let's see if we can get a trend move toward 90. If so, that would be significant. Premiums just popped on those, about 15% there. Obviously, 0DT is going to be volatile. Looking good. We spotted that relative strength early. Actually, yesterday, we had this idea, and then today we saw the relative strength that showed up, and then turned out to be really good alignment. So Q's making new highs while S&P is struggling around this 90 pivot.
Okay, can you confirm that you don't see my screen?
Let me see. Hide your feet, dude. Yeah, I don't see your screen. Do you want me to share mine, by the way, on Discord? I'm sharing it on stream, but on
Do it in Discord.
yeah, I got you.
Alright, cool.
What's up? Yep.
Secret thing.
So, all right. Guys, I'm mainly just focused on Qs here. I will consider a roll up on Tesla. I want to stay positioned, like I mentioned, throughout the week. I would like to maintain a core. I was happy to take profit on that swing. I've been holding it for a while, so catching 100% on that was great. Great. So I do think this is a bigger picture trade still. This is confirming that thesis now. So what we'll do is we'll look for opportunities to reload and get long, ideally with a little bit more time. So we had put over a month ago, put the 400 calls on for October 17th. So I'm looking at November, December, and even January contracts, but obviously with today and yesterday, premiums are pretty juiced. So we'll see. And the thing to remember is you can always day trade it too. Like you've seen me day trade Tesla twice now in the last few days while holding a swing. So you can generate cash flow by taking advantage of the short-term moves. If you're not, wanting to pay up too much on the premiums, you can still manage to participate on the day trades. So not going to rush anything, just watching it here. It looks fantastic. We'll see if it can push through the highs and get to 400 today. Same thing with BABA. So BABA getting that dip that we were looking for. I want to give it a little bit of time, but I will look also to reload that. I might just wait till next week, guys. Just kind of have a fresh week and have the weekend to review everything. I'm not in a rush to put the swings back on. If you all have any questions, just kind of watching this here, not looking to do anything but manage QQQ. So if you have questions or any trades that you want to review, we can spend like next 30, 40 minutes doing so, if there are any. Otherwise, we'll probably take a little break and then reconvene in a little while. Chart requests, just let me know. Yeah, man, that was great. Still going. I'm getting paid as we speak here. Let's see if we can get some profit. So guys, just for what it's worth, we are building this Gamma playbook, and I intend, J Money and I have been trying to meet every day this week, but trading's been busy. So we're working on polishing some of the Gamma setups that we have found work really well. And, I am beginning to get more comfortable sizing up on some of them. on my own, and you'll see that kind of play out in the account challenge and in alerts and stuff like that as that continues to progress. The way that I like to operate is like the evolution of a playbook trade to me starts with a concept, learning, a new edge. You start to study it, take reps with very, very small size that's like negligible. And then you begin to, as you see it, have positive expectancy, build up your size. And then out of that, usually after like 20 reps, 30 reps, if it's working, you can then begin to think about sizing up. Yeah, exactly. Full port, which I'm certainly not doing right now as we speak. But this is a good one. This is a good one. Trying to set a record here. Casually in the background. Yeah. The trader in me has a hard time not securing profits along the way, though. I know. I had a lot of those cues. Down to about a third. Stop
Hey,
being
Midday,
so
do you
nice.
think we can, while you're live on stream, kind of just run through some of the Tesla highlights, just kind of go through all the different strikes? And I mean, I know there's a lot to kind of capture, but just overall recapping the trade when we kind of what the underlying price was when we first got in. You can talk about your swing trade a little bit, and then the cycle, just how to approach rolling up and things like that might be valuable for people to hear who are listening in.
Yeah. There's a lot to unpack there. we probably should do a video on it.
1000%, but figured since you're live, might as well give
Yeah, no, for sure.
View of the room too, if you want to open up just the alert channel or Nick's DMs or whatever you want to show.
Yeah, Nick's. Yeah, there's so many things I don't want to say. All right, let's see, Discord. The old Discord. Hide Nick's feet. All right. Cool. So, yeah, I'll cover that in a minute. I need to focus on QQQ here for a sec. But yeah, it's like a lot of trades on Tesla. We've been all over this one. We'll talk about Tesla here in a little bit.
We talk about the mug.
Yeah, pew pew one. Kartik said, John is an AI and has no face. It's incredible. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. That's what I'm talking about.
TLDR, guys. Testing that 168. 168 will bring you 170. There's nice strength and some softening. MU bouncing up to 9 of 10.
There we
Tesla
go.
send another 9 of 10 bounce. SPX 6,000 coming through. 6,600. Sorry.
There we go. Guys, if you have multiples of Qs, I'll be scaling into this move, scaling out, that is. Really, really nice. I'll try to hold as much as I can. Bang, bang.
Guys, I'm not convinced that Tesla is a play right this second. Starting to display a little relative weakness. Might need to hit a full flag into such consolidation. Casually dropping his P&L.
It's a good one. It's a I think best. Yeah, no, definitely the best gamma trade so far.
Oh, that's what that was?
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's multiple things, but the positive gamma supportive charm combo has just been really, really good for these trend moves. And then obviously the nuance with the Q's relative strength is not really to do with gamma, but okay. How many did I take? If you guess the exact number of contracts I took, you can have a free month in the room. You get one guess. On me.
Yeah.
It's QQQ, Beatorts, by the way. Is Microsoft pushing up here? Check out Microsoft. Had some news yesterday, 510.72. Very, very big level on the daily. It's been beaten up. After being a leader, it's been, having a hard time catching its footing. So I'm not interested in buying the break necessarily, but this is one to keep close on watch. I tried a swing that stopped a few weeks ago, and this might be getting ready now to finally turn.
Were those 5/10s for today? Watch them end up paying.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Good question. I think they were 9.5. I think they were last week's.
That's probably right.
So those are at 0 right now. Those are RIP.
It wasn't like a 15-point range for a month.
I know. It's insane.
Did anyone guess your contract number correctly?
Nope. No one's even close. Space monkey.
That was the best.
That was an amazing reaction. That was amazing. Oh my god. Nice.
It's good that the people on X are not seeing what's going on in the background of the chat.
In the chat.
Yeah. You're having too much fun. It's not.
Yeah.
You gotta be professional.
Yeah. We're professional 90% of the time. It's Friday, man. Come on.
Point 90, if anything. That's the 1%. I feel like I need to get Ijo some points here because he's been having a great couple days and he's sharing a lot with members. So I
Yeah.
appreciate that.
Yeah. Shout out Ejo. John.
John is a little
Come
obsessed
on.
with John's keyboard only have 2 numbers.
Sorry guys, I meant to type 70. I mean, if you really look over at my fingers are just off by one number.
I'm looking at Rocket Lab. Looking good. I think if it can push above at 52, then you can see a little bit of a magnet move towards all-time high via 5250. 5250 is on that all-time high day that we put in is POC right at 5250. So that is resistance. Although that day we closed lower, we closed at low price 52. So, but the most volume was traded at 5250, which is resistance from below. So I think you can see some sort of magnet move into it above 52. So 5250, 52 is a supply zone, I would say. So I would say you can trade that magnet, and then if it breaks, you see that all-time high push. It's a little harder here. I would have probably on Rock Lab. I would have probably traded the 50 break or yesterday's high break. Yesterday's highest break was just below 50, and that's a better risk reward for the upside. As you're seeing, this really nice energy across the board.
Netflix big drop.
Okay, Netflix big drop. Let's look live here, guys.
Hey, yeah,
What
that
are we seeing?
was.
But break
I
easily
got you.
close.
Yep, there's the entry. A little harder with the market, but nice break.
Yeah.
Yeah, actually, QQQ I was targeting 588 and SPX was close to 5600, so that's why I took a entry on it.
The 1180 put just tripled on that drop.
I think Fedor's got like 50 or 100%. Like
Yeah.
No, it's double.
very minimal move.
So 594.95 was my target yesterday on that move. SPX, if you remember, we scalped it in the day. So we're tagging that here now and seeing reversal sign. So hands off for me. With that said, just reviewing VIX. Holding a higher low just below 15, still red, so nothing there that I'm interested in. The advanced risk decliners are off the lows, but they're still negative 900. I think mostly due to IWM sitting near the lows, just been dead. I think the strength in the market today has been QQQ. I think we identified fairly early in the session, Matei, so
Yeah.
there, trading it. And then the last kind of internal thing that I look for is the tick. Although it made it into positive territory, it's having a hard time sticking. So every time it pops, they kind of sell into it still. So that tells me is that breath is not the best. The tick is having a hard time sticking. VIX is off the low with a higher low, still red. I would just kind of dedicate this. What we're seeing is it's dedicated to rotation of sorts. It's a little more focused in a particular part of the market, and not and broadly speaking, just fairly weak. So it's more of a stock picker or sector picker today. Yeah, focus on that.
Day and also, that's what you just went over is something that we've talked about since NFP last week, if you remember, right? Like the environment is just, the stage has been set for individual names to do what they're going to do. And we have more validation on what the Fed's going to do. We've got key data out of the way. So it's like, it just feels like, the stage is set and then leaders will emerge. And we've been, kind of all over that theme even before NFP. And you're seeing that with Tesla and certain names really starting to move. These quantum names are starting to move. Interest rate sensitive names doing really, really well. And also, we have this developing AI theme, which, AI has been talked about in and out, of the conversation for a while now. But what is interesting is it feels like this cycle is shifting back toward a bit of the future growth again and starting to hype up. Like it feels like we're entering more of a hype part of the cycle again, which we didn't have previously since since it really started with like ARM, SMCI. I don't know if that was 2 years ago now. Was that 2023? It was like April, I think, of 2023. ARM and SMCI were starting to go kind of crazy, but maybe it was 2024. Can't remember, but I remember it being April. So it'd be really interesting to see if this continues. The AVGO, Oracle, getting some very, very big moves. OPEX next week could cause some interesting movement.
I think generally, like, I'm pretty happy with our week. I don't know about you, but it's been a good week.
Yeah, it's been a good week. Yeah, this is a very nice end of the week. I had quite a frustrating. It was a good week, but frustrating couple of sessions when missing certain trades that I feel like should be hitting size on, and then was very, very good to stay objective, get back in the saddle, and just wait for the next trade. Tesla delivered. This gamma setup delivered. A lot of really Baba delivered. So a lot of really good things to take away from this week. If you guys have questions, maybe we could start a thread. I see a lot. The chat's just flowing, and I can't keep up. Some people look like they're mentioning some really good points, and I want to mention, talk through it if we can. Sorry, what were you gonna say?
What's your outlook for the markets as we're trading near 600, coming out of earnings report season?
Mm-hmm.
We have FOMC coming up. What's your take on it?
Yeah, I think a lot's being priced in. I mean, the main thing is liquidity is good, right? And that's been the case since the capital requirements shifted for the banks. And then now with the FOMC down a path of more cutting, it should bring more, just continue to bring more liquidity to the markets. So, that big picture, I think, I'm not a macro expert or anything, but, from my perspective, we've seen this environment before, we've traded through it, and we know not to bet against it. That's the attitude we've had on every single dip. Really, we've had some decent dips since July, and every single one of them, that's been what we've talked about, right? Is every dip's been bought, and until that changes, you just have to continue to trade it higher. It's kind of pointless to get caught up in your mind and be like, oh, this is the top, or I'm too afraid to buy here, or it's just, there's a lot of emotions that start to pick up, which honestly feels days and weeks like we've seen in certain names, right? People are just starting to chase that, in combination with liquidity being good, is a very good recipe for day trading, right? But yeah, I would say my overall view is just kind of unchanged until proven otherwise, right? Until there's a reason for until a dip doesn't get bought, or we see a bigger crack, or something change with the Fed, maybe a surprise at FOMC, which I doubt we get, but we could. It's just business as usual to me, and that doesn't mean that we're going to go up in a straight line, right? As you've seen over the last couple of months, we have gotten some very good dips. Yeah, they got bought up very quickly, but it's important, in my experience, to not let a thesis like that or overall sentiment in the market affect your day trading. As a day trader, if you get caught in two minds, it can be really dangerous. So, and what I mean by that is say you hear what I just said, maybe you share the same sort of view, and there's a day trade that sets up, and you're like, oh, well, I bought Qs, and Qs is a good example today. So the QQQ setup, we have our thesis, so it's a day trade setup, but if you let that bigger picture thesis, say it starts to fail, and you think to yourself, oh, well, every dip gets bought, or you use that logic on a shorter time frame, it can be super dangerous. So, day traders have to stay objective and trade it one trade at a time. If you get caught using a big picture thesis to hold on, or as a justification to hold a losing trade, that can go against you very quickly. So I say all that. I know you only asked about the market outlook, but I think that's important, because I've done that in my career several times, where I'll maybe be in a bigger position or in a trade and think, oh, well, this such and such about the overall market was said and is true, and so you can get bailed out if you just hold. That can be very dangerous. So I just want to call that out. If you guys have missed moves, some of these moves, there's always going to be another trade. So as a day trader, that's a luxury we have. We can enter each day with a fresh mindset and wait for new hands to be dealt. And if you miss swings, just wait for a dip, right? Or just size down or take a small starter in something that you like and wait for a red day. To me, I think it's that simple. Maybe not easy to do in practice, but it's pretty simple to understand, I think. With that said, what are your thoughts, Space Mike? I'm sure you have some insight on the overall market more than me.
The overall market is fine. One kind of thought that just crossed my mind last couple weeks at least is we're running into FOMC on the idea that we're cutting rates, and I'm just curious to see what happens once and if those rates get cut. kind of idea, or sorry, sell signal,
Yeah.
or will they buy it up further? They might pop it and then drop it the next day. What if they don't cut rates, right? That's definitely bearish, I would think, because the market is pricing in a lot of that right now, and part of why every dip has been done. So I think I'm like cautiously optimistic as always, but
Yeah.
as a day trader, I think we have a pretty good team here that can sense what is moving, which direction it's moving. So every day is a new day. And obviously, like for me, I work best when there's a theme out there that I can kind of lean on. So I'm interested to see what kind of theme emerges. We're starting to see, and you touched upon this a little earlier, where the idea that AI and AI tangent stocks, nuclear, semiconductors, software, robotics, whatever it is, might have like this second life, right? It might get a nice little move in that area. So I'm just super excited about seeing how that progresses over the next weeks and months. But the one thing, and lastly here, the one thing I know for sure is that irrelevant of the market condition, I think we've done a pretty good job over the last 6 or 7 months we've been together, finding the areas and trading with the stocks or the markets.
Yep. It's all about the Fed, man. It's a good insight.
And it's also like your attitude, like your outlook. Like every day you come in, like you do your work, you figure out a plan, and you just stick with the plan. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. Sometimes you miss trading your plan, and it's just a matter of execution. But the mindset is there for you to kind of work on, right? If you can work on it, and then the market's going to do what the market's going to do. You're not going to have you're not going to be able to control the market. All you can control is yourself and your mind. So if people can learn to just kind of focus on that and get better at that bit, I think it's all going to get a lot of fun.
Yeah. Yeah, and there's, along with what you're saying, some good reflection being done in the chat with some traders, and for some frustration, what they feel, their timing is just way off on day trades, and they're having a hard time. And so I think there's, to answer like that challenge, if you feel like everything you're doing isn't working, I think it's a really good opportunity to step back. And also, I got a really good question from somebody earlier in the week that I've been meaning to address on a video, but we'll just talk about it now because I think it relates to this. Is that somebody was bringing up the fact that we talked about treating trading like a business, and like asking, what does that mean? How would you define that? And at what point in your career did you transition from that retail mindset to more of like a business or professional mindset? And I think this is the key to kind of everything that a lot of the people in the chat are kind of showing frustration with in terms of timing, or feeling like when they buy it goes against them and that sort of thing. What I've observed from traders, and including myself early on, is a lot of people are at a stage where they'll just see an alert or something moving, and they'll just try to just buy and sell it with really no actual plan. They'll just try to like take advantage of whatever's moving, and like off of a loose idea, or it feels almost kind of random. And I think it's important to understand, like, everything that we do is not random, right? And I think treating trading like a business, to me, is you have a playbook, right? And you're operating. So just start from like the beginning, and I'll try to make this as simple as I can. And that is, if you have an idea, right? Every trade starts with an idea or a thesis, right? And then it evolves into a playbook trade. And so what this process for me really kind of kicked off in 2022. I was doing well before that with like more breakout trading, momentum trading, and then 2022 happened, and it got way harder, and I had to reevaluate a lot of things. And that's, I would say, when it sort of clicked for me in terms of like treating it like a business. So what does treating it like a business mean? It means you have an idea for a trade. So there's a setup that you've seen consistently work, or you have a theory. This could be anything. It doesn't have to be, related to my playbook or anyone's playbook. You've seen my playbook, if you've been with me a long time, evolve, right? There's been, I went from pretty much only trading like breakouts and breakdowns to a very diverse playbook with frontside shorts, opening drives, give and goes, intraday setups on stocks in play, lots of different things, right? Continuation trades. So that has evolved from the mindset of I have an idea, which is, XYZ happens consistently. It could be anything, right? You're trying to find edge in the market. So once you have a setup, let's say like an opening drive, right? You think that, okay, I've noticed consistently when stocks gap up 3% and have a trending pre-market structure and elevated R vol, they typically run on the open. That's like your thesis, right? So it starts with an idea, and then you define it, you turn it into a setup, a playbook trade, right? So it becomes it's a concept and then a playbook trade. Once it's a playbook trade, then you take 5-10 reps of that setup. So you look for that to occur. You take 5 to 10 reps and you log it, you study it, you put it in a journal. It could be Excel. It doesn't have to be anything fancy. Just you log the variables, put the chart in there, take into account the higher time frame, the lower time frame, anything that you can think of. Try to take the time to define whatever you saw, right? Whatever you're feeling or seeing, try to define every part of it as best as you can, right? And then you take, 20 trades, let's say, of that setup after you've got it beyond the concept phase. At that point in time, it's either profitable or it's not, right? So like that's where trading like a business, you can step back and become more of the operator versus the, just kind of doing things randomly. Like you can take the personal, this is where you can start to take the personal emotion out of what you're doing by saying, hey, opening drive trades are objectively, they don't have positive expectancy, or they do. It's that simple. Like, and yes, there's nuance to that where you might just not be executing it well. That, that's what the reps are for. You try to identify what type of sell rules, what type of entries are most, best for that type of setup. And that's what the getting the reps is for. And then at the end of, X amount of trades that you've taken with that setup, it either is paying you or it's not. So like from a business standpoint, if it's not producing positive expectancy, there's probably not edge. And it either could be a variety of things, but for the purpose of just explaining this, it either is paying you or it's not. So as a business owner, as someone that's treating your trading like a business, let's say it's like, not paying well at all, it's actually, a source of your losses, then you cut that, right? Or you revise it, you put it back in the concept phase and say, there's just, this either doesn't have edge or I don't know how to trade it yet. And then you move on to another idea. This is the process of discovering edge in the market and how you can treat it like a business. So you're staying objective in your approach, and it really helps remove some of the emotion from things. Trading, no matter what, there's always going to be emotions. We're all human. So you're going to deal with that. You're dealing with money every day. So there's a lot to this game, but just kind of addressing that. If you're doing things like flying by the seat of your pants, then you have to understand who you're trading against. You're trading against like millions and billions of dollars. This is one of the most competitive things that you can do, with people showing up every day with a lot of money. As I'm talking, guys, Tesla is setting up this intraday bullish reset. So I just want to call that out. Yeah. So if we hold, it can still go lower, but and be even a better reset. But this is a pretty nice start. So anyways, anyhow, that's, to me, like, there's a lot more I ramble on about, but I think if you're doing things randomly, you're very unlikely going to do well in the long term, especially in challenging markets, if you're not putting in the work. And the level of work you put in can vary from trader to trader, right? Like some people are working full time. Some people don't, have the whole day to just dedicate toward, building an in-depth playbook. And you don't have to have, 1,000 different types of setups to go to, right? That's why we have the community and ideally are shortening your learning curve on a lot of this stuff and helping give you a head start on, setups that we know have edge, stuff that we're doing every day. We're sharing that edge with you, and most of our edge is based off efficiency. Where like there's a lot of people trading a certain name, and the liquidity is so good that edge will never erode. Right, there will always be some level of participation from people that's concentrated on certain names. So, anyways, I could go on and on about it, but hopefully that makes some sense for people that are asking about that. And if you have follow-up questions, let me know.
Take a second just to review what's going on in the market.
Yeah, let's do it.
Potentially trade or whatever. You want me to do it?
Yeah, go for it. I'll flip through the names as you talk about them in the stream.
Let's start with SPX. SPX is starting to, it saw a nice little pop above yesterday's highs, and it was unable to make it all the way to 6,000, 600, and falling back down towards, very important, 6587, 6585. There's also a higher time frame trend line there on my chart. I actually have it sitting right around that area. So if that fails, I'm anticipating this one perhaps will reach back down to 6580. Then we'll see a large drop like that. So SPX is holding up, but it's getting a little higher. That's kind of how I feel about that. Beautiful move into new all-time highs, and now pulling back into, and all members understand when I say this, the 9 on 10 is the 9 moving average 10-minute time frame. In an upside, in an uptrend, intraday uptrend, that 9 on 10 usually acts as that bounce area. So we're testing it right here around 586. So this could be a secondary entry for a push back up to high day. Let's see if they do that. The biggest kind of standout to me here is IWM and its weakness. It's a really nice move yesterday. It closed near the highs, and it has just not, it's been unable to sustain some of the gains that we see yesterday. So we're back down here, almost 0.80% on the day. So very, very weak price action, which is cascading into some of the internal data we'll look at. Just that strength of the market. Aside from that, let's take a look at Tesla. Tesla for me is sitting in a bullish pennant. It's holding 388, which we got in for a scalp earlier. And for me with Tesla, when it's in this mode, unless the market sells off and reverses in a big way, Tesla dips usually are viable, or at least you should look for it. I know you mentioned the RSI is resetting really nicely on this consolidation period that we're in here intraday. So let's see if this 388 project us back up to 394 to 400. We'll see. It's very interesting price action there. Apple stands out to me from big tech names, I would say, in a positive way. It broke 230, 231 very, very nicely. We called it out live as a nice little trade, 250s. Moved really nice, actually moved into that 234.50 area. We do have the 9-day moving average here, which is resistance. And if we break above that, my target would be 237 and change. That would be the pretty solid high. This range, 231 to 237, has always been a pretty fast one, meaning once we've broken it, the downside would move very quickly down to 230, upside moving back up towards that 240 very quickly as well. So working both ways. Microsoft is doing something slightly different today, I would say. It did have some news in PM and popped into like 5:15. What's done today is, I think, bullish. It's off the open and back up to yesterday's highs, and that is marking the low of day today. So what this one is trying to do is just carve out a bottom near 500. We've been in this range for quite a while, but for me that's not negative. It just perhaps could be setting up for that next push higher. Seeing a headline this morning. Tesla chair saying that Musk participates in succession talks with the board. Tesla stock no real reaction. Um, Aside from that, um, Netflix is extremely relatively weak. Some of the members got to move below 1200. Um, this one is relatively weak, so if the market does reverse on us at some point during the day, this one could move towards 1182, and then if that breaks, we could see a bigger move next week down to that swing low that we saw a couple months ago, weeks ago, around 1145. So Netflix is very, very weak. The one thing that's standing out to me now, as far as like a narrative, is the strength of some of these quantum names. There's apparently a catalyst headline, NVIDIA catalyst. Remember, NVIDIA Jensen came out, saying something, and I'm paraphrasing from my thoughts, from my memory. Something about quantum is 25, 30 years down the line, and
Mm-hmm.
so that is what kind of catalyzed that was a negative catalyst for this entire sector. If you remember, we're super hot. Let's just take IONQ as an example. If you pull up the chart,
Yep.
you can see that IONQ pushed in January all the way up to kind of where we are right now, around 55, and then it reversed all the way back down to 17 now. So we're back to where we were before. And every time quantum has pushed higher, has been on positive headlines from the NVIDIA CEO. And so that's just like a thing to remember, a narrative. Uh, what is it called? A perspective that you should keep in mind, because every time Jensen says something positive, there might be a positive trade in quantum. We've seen it twice, 17 or more. And so today, quantum's pushing higher. IONQ back to all-time high. Actually made new all-time highs today. IONQ. Another one would be your favorite Rigatoni, RGTI, pushed nicely higher as well, up 13%, and so on and so forth. So quantum might be something to watch. Obviously, we have QBTS and QUBT and all those a little more laggards, but maybe they'll start picking it up the next week. We'll see. And you can stop me, but kind of go through my watch list here.
Yep. I'm just making an update for the group while you talking through it.
Yeah, go ahead. The one stock that has seen a little bit of a character change this week compared to last few weeks has been PLTR. Now, PLTR has, since putting in a nice new all-time highs after earnings of 190, pulled back, and we saw this extreme flush down to 142. That has since been bought up, and that it consolidated for over 2 weeks. And only this week have we seen a break out of that range, out of that bounce area, and we are sitting really nicely around 167. So I would say if the bulls break 170, which would be the earnings gap up day low, so the day after earnings, PLTR gapped up, the low of that day is sitting right around that 170. If we can recover that, you'll have a lot of shorts on the long side of things. So you might see a little bit of a short recovery rally above 170. As you know, we took some shares at 158. So those are our prices.
I just want to mention the gamma landscape real quick.
Yeah, go ahead.
Pull it up. Make sure. We actually should have another update. Give me one sec. Might not be ready yet, but overall nothing's really changed. So we've got this positive gamma plus supportive charm combination with this 6590 as a tough pivot for S&P specifically to get through. As G Money just pointed out in the chat, 65.75 is a potential area of interest. So if we were to drop that, we'd actually be falling into some suppressive charm below, which makes it a little easier for the downside in what we've seen, but still supportive overall in this positive gamma environment. For those that don't know, we usually see trendy action. Doesn't mean it has to be up. in positive gamma, but when the charm is largely supportive, it tends to favor the direction of the current trend, which we've seen has been up. So something to note, I would anticipate much of the same. S&P lagging a bit while Qs maintain some strength. So if you're looking for trades, aligning with tech today is the play for the upside for sure. So anyways, and here comes the update. Let me just, before we go on, make sure nothing's changed too much in terms of the positioning. And it's worth mentioning also that if we were to happen to get through 6,600 on S&P, it's fairly thin until you get to 6,640. So it's a very positive gamma environment, but not a ton of positioning until 40. So we could see quite a nice attempt to push higher into the end of the day if that clears. And with tech relatively strong, I think it's important to stay in that mindset until proven otherwise. And not really too much has changed with this update. So that is a wrap for gamma overview. If you want to continue.
I'm looking at Uber on the weekly.
Okay.
I think this one might be the next big trade here for the next week. Super close up, very nice. We'll update on the weekly too. Start following you. So I'm anticipating this one to 100. So one play of that. Uber's a pretty good big picture of the spinning block. Interesting stock here to be the TUOL tool. One that early in the week saw a negative reaction to the Apple keynote, but has since used that as fuel for a higher yearly low failed breakdown. We're at 364. So, and we're back towards. We actually tested the 220 today.
Wow.
This is the 20-day moving average. So that's usually a secondary line of support or resistance after recovering the 9 when they're stacked in this like downside move. If it pushes through the 9, which is 285 here, you have the 20 at 311. So that is usually a secondary entry for that trend moving lower. If you recover the 20, you can catch that. You can kind of start saying that, okay, this might be a swing low or double bottom on the yearly. So dual, very nice failed breakdown these down with this Lifecycle.
Nice stuff. What a move from Duel after that Apple headline. Jeez, so happy. That failed breakdown was massive.
WMT is interesting to me on a big picture. Retail, obviously, different kind of trade. I think WMT is a great company and it's something to watch here. Remember, we had multiple months below 100, and we're finally recovering that after this huge move down to what felt a huge move. It was moved from 105 to 95. So something that WMT is something new. But we held the bottom of that previous range low. So for me, this is pretty bullish. It's just a check back of this accumulation area, and we could see new highs in the next 2 weeks, maybe a couple months. So, especially if we get some supportation play into, the defense minded stocks. One more here. Yeah. As always, I mean. Things over the weekend. I think ATP is worth mentioning, maybe, right?
I think this can still go today too.
Yeah, I mean, I think 600 is a nice area to look for. We put it to it, holding up pretty nicely. It's just been weirder ever since earnings. I think once again, an example of how narrative is sometimes more important than anything after the, but the narrative shifted after earnings, and this one has just become a stock to watch. So, yeah, just incredibly nice. I mean, similar kind of idea as MVP. He needs to chill just a bit, but we kind of filled that gap above, which is incredible. And this one, probably a nice move higher with it. But, yeah, I think maybe a pull the come here would be helpful.
Watching Tesla 926 for 50 calls here as a small roll up, position sized for 0.
Yeah, Tesla's definitely bull flagging. Volume is pretty low. It's just low volume bull flagging in 10 minute. For me, that's bullish. It's just kind of waiting.
Yep. I'm gonna grab this
Mark's up
contract,
a lot.
guys. Getting filled at 335. Very small, a very small percentage of profits. I think there can be an opportunity at 381 as well if we dip a little bit more. But I just want to have some position on that can see IV expansion if we do get that 400 pop. So those
mRNA
are
big
nice.
drop, guys. mRNA big drop.
I hate that name.
Headline negative. Trump officials to link deaths to COVID shots. That's pretty.
It's a pretty
extreme
serious headline. Yeah, let's see.
Sorry to interrupt you.
No, yeah, good call. Stock has just been so dead too. On the weekly, we are at a very interesting spot. This has been a level 23 in particular is a level that has, or area, give or take, a point, has held 4 times, 5 times. So that's, I'm going to just set an alert there. That could be a nice weekly breakdown. I just want to call out, somebody mentioned in the chat that they made a good point that sometimes a playbook trade, following our conversation about trading like a business, sometimes a playbook trade can work, 10 out of 10 times, and then a few months later, it's not working as well. Doesn't mean the move just doesn't work because the market isn't right for it. I think so. So I think the simple answer to that is and it's the reason I have a diverse playbook now, is there certain markets where certain setups just work better than others, and you will begin to understand that nuance and get familiar with that nuance. Like a lot of the setups that I focus on are driven around catalysts and earnings season. And depending on the market, it's more common for certain ones to be more prominent. So like opening drives, intraday setups in particular, give and goes right now are pretty good and common in a bullish environment like we're in. And then, in 2022, the latter half of 22, early 23, you saw a lot more front side shorts and setups that are more, rejecting back into the trend or opposite moves than what you would typically see. Failed breakdowns in this environment, also probably king. I've seen those work extremely well, as J Money is the master of those. So yeah, the answer is yes, and that's why we have this log to the Top Ops DB, which I think I can make some improvements to. But every single day we track what playbook trades happened. And it doesn't matter if we took them or not. I'll go in here every day. I might miss a couple here and there, but overall I'm trying to just continue to log it. It's for a couple reasons. Pattern recognition, right? So if you're like wondering, hey, what's an opening drive? Everyone has access to this. You can go in, filter it, or just look at all the opening drives, open up the chart and start to build the pattern recognition in your head. But also even more so, to the point being made, you can kind of see just by looking, over the past week, look at this and say like, okay, there was a lot of opening drives. Or there's a lot of failed breakdowns. You can begin to pull out some commonality between what is happening in the market. And that's why it's a good thing to track it, even if you're not trading it, to track it, because it can give you a sense for, hey, this area of the playbook is starting to work a little bit more, or maybe there's a bit of a shift toward one thing working more than another. So that's, it's definitely nerdy. I'm a bit nerdy when it comes to that kind of stuff, but it's helpful because it keeps you in tune with what is working. And the goal of that is to try and just stay efficient, right? It's not going to be perfect, but when things are transitioning, maybe certain setups are working, you might not have to wait, 5 failed opening drives to learn that they're not working super well, or that the market's shifting a little bit, you might see it quicker in the data and also in your trade. So you can, begin to either reduce some size or just start to be a little bit more cautious in certain areas.
Just got 390 into 50 calls. Roll up exercise this is 0.
Guys, one thing I'll mention with Tesla here, a little nuance. These high and tight consolidation patterns, if they resolve to the upside, are usually pretty aggressive. So if you're trading it, it's usually more of like a momentum trade as a day trade. I'm positioned more on a roll. I think you are too, Space Monkey. So we might be a little bit more loose with our sell rules. But if you are day trading it, these high and tight patterns can be explosive when they work. Doesn't mean that it's going to, but when they do resolve higher, and the reason for that is because there's acceptance higher, and there's so much demand for the stock that once it starts going, it just immediately starts getting chased again. So it's just like another wave, and it just is simply validating that the momentum is still present, and there's more to go. And then if you start to reset in the range, and you just have to kind of wait. It usually will become more of like a trendy play, where you can look at like the averages or where a trend might start to establish on a bigger dip. But when it holds up like this, and there's, Netflix like 2 years ago is coming to mind when it had a really big move like this. That was one of the best trades I've actually had, sizing up on a momentum play like that. So again, only valid if it breaks. I'm not trying to create FOMO or anything around Tesla. It's just an observation that of price action here.
Yeah, I want SPX to hold here.
Mm-hmm. It's a great point in the chat. Someone said when they look at the Playbook database, they don't see the variables in the notes, and are basically asking if I could add a couple pointers to the trade to get a little bit more insight from it. I do have, everyone has access to the Notion journal that I have, that includes just a couple things. I like the idea, I'll say that. But top ops, I try to do a bigger or a little bit more in-depth write-up on, which is in the Notion, the account challenge Notion. And secondly, on every daily market recap call, I talk through them. So, maybe I can generate a transcript or something and drop it in the database. But just so you are aware, I do start the call off every day after the market with a quick review of those Playbook trades. It's a good idea, though. Yeah. Notion is a journal-taking app. Look at the pinned message, or just scroll to the top of the... I'll grab the link for you. It's in the account challenge doc, which, by the way, account challenge, for those listening, has officially doubled since starting. So big milestone there.
Not easy having a small account. So
Yeah, it sucks.
but it's possible.
It is possible. Showed you how. And I think while we're just rambling on here, feel free to interrupt me if something happens trade-wise. But for those that don't know, at the account challenge, the whole goal was not to do like a flashy, 5 or 10K to 100K in a month type thing. That's actually the reason I've avoided them in the past, because that frustrates me. I don't feel like it's a true reflection of, what it really is to be consistently profitable over a long period of time. I know those types of things excite people, but I wanted to just showcase how the playbook that I trade is scalable and to different levels of account sizes, and also showcase when things aren't going good, how I manage a drawdown, bad days, and then also sizing up on better opportunities. So I've tried to do my best to share that fully in real time. And if you haven't been able to follow the challenge, You can go back and look at the trades. You can look at the Notion. I put the reporting in there. You can ask me questions. The reviews channel has a lot of reviews from that challenge. Fell off consistency with posting those reviews a little bit here recently, but been doing more videos. So anyways, hopefully that's been helpful. Let me know if so. I know I've gotten some feedback, but always good to hear. And if there's anything that could be more clear, to just let me know.
That's extremely relatively strong here. This makes us dipping still.
Yeah.
So let's see if we can sustain it. The move above hitting 90 here. Small observation, Tesla premium's a little sluggish here. Slow.
Yeah, we're starting to get to that midpoint in the session too, where things might get a little boring. Slower. We can wind down the live stream. If anyone has any last minute questions out there, let us know. I know you have to leave a little early today, right, Space Monkey?
Yes, I do.
Okay.
Probably 1-ish, so
Cool.
I'm gonna go celebrate my daughter's birthday.
Happy birthday.
Today.
Tell her happy birthday from Panda.
From Panda.
Yeah.
Favorite animal is panda.
Is it?
Yeah,
Nice.
whatever. Let's do that.
Nice.
One is a panda, the other one is a cat. But she likes cat.
Nice. All right, guys, I think that wraps us up. I'm gonna, for those in Discord, we'll hang out for just a little bit longer here, but I'm gonna wind down end the stream. But if you guys have any other questions that are out there listening,